Many video game weapons are so bizarre and incredible, we figured there's no way technology will ever make them real. And yet, there are plenty with real-life counterparts, some of which really blur the line between fact and fiction. Just try to fight the urge to build these yourself. Squall's Gunblade. Most gamers thought it would be super cool to wield a gunblade like Squall's in Final Fantasy VIII from the first moment it appeared. Of course, it's hard to imagine that a weapon like that would have any real-world applications besides looking cool. But it turns out that pistol swords were very real throughout history, and we're not just talking simple bayonets.
Advance! On guard! No! 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 No!
Pistol swords and knives existed in France and Germany dating back to the 1500s. Even though these combined weapons seem pretty cool, they weren't widely used due to both the expense of slapping two weapons together and how one part of the weapon would make the other part completely unwieldy, sort of like a camera phone, but not like a good one.
What is this?
The hell?
Why does the phone have a camera glued to it?
It's a camera phone. Jermaine wanted one for his birthday.
Where'd you get it?
I made it. It's homemade.
Yeah, it's a piece of
Well, how come Jermaine likes it so much? You can have it.
Still, at least they look pretty dang cool. Tira's Ringblade. Soul Calibur's Tira likes to use a giant bladed ring as a deadly hula hoop sword combination. The weapon might seem silly, but the Ringblade is actually a giant chakram, a ring that can be tossed through the air and cut with its sharp blades. Remember Xena Warrior Princess? Turns out, parts of it were totally real. Chakrams were used by ancient Sikhs and were worn on the arm before being spun on a finger and then flung at the enemy. These bladed rings were more than capable of cutting through a man, and they seem a lot more dangerous than daggers since they would continue to slice into flesh upon impact. It probably works best if you make this noise, though. The Demon Sword of Paracelsus. Sure, it has one of the coolest names ever, but also one of the most misleading, since it's not, an actual sword. This weapon from Resident Evil 3 is, however, a railgun, and while we might never use a railgun against undead monstrosities, there are real-world, non-zombie related applications for such a device. The US Navy actually crafted a $500 million electromagnetic railgun after a decade of development. It requires its own small power plant to send a 25-pound projectile flying at speeds of up to 4,500 miles per hour, which makes it both a hefty investment and a power hog.
Cobra! They missed.
See Viper's Stun Glove. Crimson Viper from Street Fighter IV is a badass femme fatale who exhibits a shocking grasp when it comes to fights. But you don't have to be a world warrior to wield one of these bad boys, because it seems as if people make stun gloves all the time online. One aspiring crime fighter even created a glove that can stun, has a laser pointer, a flashlight, and an armored sleeve. The device was so impressive that none other than Kevin Waterworld Costner invested in it. That said, we don't recommend crafting any zap gloves and electrocuting folks for no good reason. Johnny Law might have something to say about that.
Shocking.
Cloud's Buster Sword. Even though he physically shouldn't have been able to, Cloud Strife wielded the comically large Buster Sword in Final Fantasy VII. While no one handled anything as cartoonishly big in real life, Zweihanders were pretty much the real-life equivalent of the Buster Sword. These two-handed weapons had large blades, but could still be swung around effectively by guiding the blade with a hand near the hilt and one near the pommel. These great swords could be used to fight multiple combatants, usually to defend a point, like a door. Sadly, as cool as these weapons are, we see no room for materia slots, so no thanks. Bouncing Betty. In Borderlands 2, Bouncing Betties are modified grenades that pop up and send projectiles flying everywhere. Just in case you thought these weapons were complete works of fiction, believe it or not, they actually existed back in World War II. The S-mines, or Bouncing Betties as they were known to American forces, were dug into the ground by German forces and would pop up when triggered, sending shrapnel flying everywhere. Like most weapons used in past wars, these mines were highly devastating. They were sort of like the traps in Home Alone, but slightly less hilarious.
Heads up!
Then the main charge exploded, sending 350 steel balls in all directions.
Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.